In this section, we're going to be taking a look at sidechaining. The term sidechain you'll often hear used interchangeably with the words key or keying, but really they both mean the same thing. A sidechain refers to a separate input on our Dynamics plugins that let us control the gain reduction circuit with the audio from another source. And there's a lot of different reasons why we would want to be able to do this. To help us better understand how sidechaining works, let's take another look at our compressor diagram. So as you recall, we have our main audio input, which feeds its signal both into the amplifier and the gain reduction circuit. That audio triggers the gain reduction circuit, which applies the volume changes to our amplifier. Now the sidechain input breaks the connection between our original audio source and the gain reduction circuit, and it lets us feed a separate audio signal directly to the gain reduction circuit, which then changes the volume of our original audio signal. One of the most common uses of this is to create what we call a ducking compressor. A ducking compressor is a compressor with a sidechain or a key input. It lets us control the gain reduction circuit with the audio from a different source. There are many different ways that we can use a ducking compressor. In the voiceover industry, we use a ducking compressor when producing a television or a radio spot. Many times you'll hear during a commercial break where the volume of the background music gets lower whenever the vocal is occurring. This effect is created by a ducking compressor. Without it, the music has a tendency of getting in the way of the vocals, and we lose focus on the advertisement. Here's a typical scenario that you would see in a voiceover session where we have a voiceover track with a music bed playing in the background. Let's go ahead and play this back.
Experience freedom from cable by switching to satellite. For only $39.99 a month, you can enjoy over 30 of your favorite movie channels and over 200 premium network stations. Ask your local provider if service is available in your area. Taxes and fees may apply. Experience the difference of satellite. Experience freedom.
So you can easily hear how our vocals get lost in the music and we lose focus on the advertisement. So let's go ahead and create a ducking compressor on the music bed. Go ahead and open up our channel settings here. We'll go into Dynamics and insert our compressor. If we leave the compressor as is, the compressor will only reduce the gain of the transients that are coming in on our music bed. What we want to do is have the compressor reduce the volume of the music, but only at the times where the vocal is occurring. So to do this, we'll have to activate the sidechain. All we do is click on this button here to activate the sidechain, and by activating the sidechain button, it makes the sidechain input on our compressor available to any of the other tracks in our session via the sends. Let's go ahead and open up the channel settings for our voiceover track, and in the sends, we can now see that we have a selection for the sidechain on the compressor that's on our music bed. To send this vocal track to the sidechain on the compressor, we just have to activate our send, and we'll go ahead and change our send from post-fader to pre-fader so that our fader doesn't affect the signal that we're sending into the compressor. It'll give us more control when we start balancing the volumes between the two tracks. Before we play this back, let's go ahead and make a few adjustments to our compressor. First off, when using a ducking compressor, we want to make sure that the makeup gain is turned off. Since we're only interested in reducing the volume of the music bed track, we don't have any use to make up for that signal loss. We'll go ahead and change our analysis to peak, and we'll turn up our ratio a little bit. Now when we start playback, just keep a close eye on our gain reduction meter. You'll see that the gain reduction is only occurring whenever there is a vocal present.
Experience freedom from cable by switching to satellite. For only $39.99 a month, you can enjoy over 30 of your favorite movie channels and over 200 premium network stations. Ask your local provider if service is available in your area. Taxes and fees may apply. Experience the difference of satellite. Experience freedom.
Let's go ahead and reduce the volume on our voiceover so that we can more closely inspect what the compressor is doing on the music bed. That time you could really hear where the compressor is working. It's only working in these sections where we have the vocals. We'll go ahead and play it back one more time, and we'll go ahead and bypass it and enable it so that you can hear what the difference is.
Experience freedom from cable by switching to satellite. For only $39.99 a month, you can enjoy over 30 of your favorite movie channels and over 200 premium network stations. Ask your local provider if service is available in your area. Taxes and fees may apply. Experience the difference of satellite. Experience freedom.
So you can see this is a very easy way to make your vocals really stand out whenever there's a music bed playing. Another common use for a ducking compressor is in electronic and dance music production. Particularly in that genre of music, there's a lot of low frequency content going on, so we can use a ducking compressor to even out the balance between a kick drum and a bass track. Let's go ahead and listen to our tracks and see what we have. First, we'll go ahead and solo our drum loop here. Then we'll solo our bass part. And then we'll play everything together. Now when we listened to it, we could hear that bass part colliding with the low frequencies of the kick drum. There's a few things that a ducking compressor will do for us in this situation. It will reduce the volume of the bass part whenever the kick transient is playing, but it will also give our bass a sense of motion, and it won't sound so static and boring. So let's go ahead and insert our standard compressor on the bass track. We'll turn off our makeup gain and we'll change our analysis from RMS to peak, and we'll also activate the sidechain. And we'll go ahead and create our send for the drum loop that sends to the bass track sidechain. We'll go ahead and play it back and see what we got here. Now here's the trick. The drum loop track that has our kick drum doesn't only have transients in the low frequency content, but also in the high frequency content with the hi-hats and the snare drums. Since we're focusing on the low frequency content, what we'll need to do is filter out some of that high frequency content. So to do that, we'll have to duplicate our original drum loop track, filter out the high frequency content, and then send that track to the sidechain of the compressor. So we'll go ahead and remove our send on the original track, and then we'll duplicate our drum loop track by right-clicking on it and choosing Duplicate Track. Then we'll play this duplicate, and we'll start rolling off our high frequency by using our high cut filter down here. And since we're not interested in listening to this particular track through our mix, we can send the main stereo output up above directly into our sidechain. Now if we solo our bass and our filtered kick drum, we can start getting some good settings on the compressor. And if we play everything together, now we'll hear that every time the kick drum plays, it reduces the volume of our bass track. Go ahead and bypass this. We'll go ahead and enable it again. So you can see how it really brings our kick drum to the front of the mix. Now luckily for us, there's an easier way to do this than making a duplicate copy of this kick drum. If you remember in the previous section, we mentioned that the tube compressor actually has a sidechain filter input. Let's go ahead and remove the track that has the filter drum loop on it. And we'll go ahead and insert our tube compressor on the bass track. And for now, we'll go ahead and turn our mix all the way up to 100 so we're only listening to the compressed signal. And for now, we'll disable this sidechain, but we'll activate the sidechain for the compressor here, and we'll enable the send on our drum loop track to the sidechain of the tube compressor. And we'll make sure that this setting is set to pre-fader. That way, if we move our fader up and down, we don't affect the level of the send that's going to our tube compressor. We'll go ahead and mute our lead synth here, and then we'll play our track back to see what we got. So you'll hear that there's not much ducking going on, and that's because the tube compressor is actually listening to the whole frequency band of our drum loop track. And this is where our sidechain filter comes in handy. If we activate our sidechain filter and bring down the volume of our original drum loop track, we can play it back and then monitor the signal from the drum loop track by pressing the monitor button. So you can hear when we activate the monitor button, we can hear the signal that's coming through our sidechain. Now the filters on the bottom determine the type of filter that the tube compressor will be using to listen to our sidechain. In this case, we want to use the low pass filter. And you can see by moving this center knob, it changes the frequency of the low pass filter, similar to how we duplicated the track earlier and used the high cut filter. So let's dial in a good setting for this low pass. So to hear its effect on the bass, we just disable the monitor button, and we can adjust our settings according to the filtered input that the compressor is receiving. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and bring up the fader for our drum loop track so that we can hear it in the mix, and then we'll play it back and see what kind of effect it's had on our bass track. Another creative way we can use a ducking compressor is to create a de-essing effect on a vocal. If we go back to our voiceover track and we play it back, you'll hear that some of the S sounds sound a bit harsh.
Experience freedom from cable by switching to satellite.
Now if we insert our tube compressor, we can leave our sidechain turned on, but if we turn on the monitor, we can start narrowing in on some of those higher frequencies. For this, we'll choose the high pass.
Experience freedom from cable by switching to satellite. For only $39.99 a month, you can enjoy over 30 of your favorite movie channels and over 200 premium network stations. Ask your local provider if service is available in your area.
So by doing this, we've told the compressor that its gain reduction circuit is only going to be listening to the higher frequencies. Now if we go ahead and play it back again, you'll hear that the compressor only reduces the volume when it hears a peak in the upper frequencies.
Experience freedom from cable by switching to satellite. For only $39.99 a month, you can enjoy over 30 of your favorite movie channels and over 200 premium network stations.
If we bypass it, there's a big difference.
Experience freedom from cable by switching to satellite. For only $39.99 a month, you can enjoy over 30 of your favorite movie channels and over 200 premium network stations. Ask your local provider if service is available in your area.
So you can see how the sidechain filter really gives us a lot of control over the signal that we're actually going to be listening to in the gain reduction circuit. Stay with us, and in the next section we'll be going over the different types of limiters that we have available to us.